I do believe we need to move on, and we're going to move into our next topic, which is we're going to be going into the what is it? The Esports World Cup. It was just announced, and it's something. Nick, you want to walk us through this a little bit more?
All right. So, with all the information that I have, based on all the information that I have about the World Cup of esports, right? It's going to be hosted by Prince Mohammed, right? He's the prime minister of Saudi Arabia, right? And the crown prince, and this, that, and the third. He's the guy over there. But so he's starting this tournament, and what it seems like is there's a lot of games that are going to be on there that they're going to have pros for and everything like that. But it's mostly supposed to be like organizational support. So it looks like the way that it works, the breakdown is, let me see if I can find it again. The breakdown seems to be like there's going to be organizational reward. It's an organizational tournament for the most part, right? And so that's like a majority of the rewards are going to be for that. And then there's also, like, if you place in these tournaments, if you have the ability to get to these tournaments, first off, there's like $7.1 million that are just going to the people who placed in the tournament. So it's already lucrative for you to just get there.
Yeah.
As these people.
And of course that comes from the Saudi government sponsoring it. So they have the cash flow, the capital to like make this happen. Kind of interesting in that way where you're talking about it's going to be organization based, almost like a free for all franchise league, right?
Yeah. So there's like the club championship, the game championships, and then the qualifiers. Like, so in order to qualify for all these tournaments, $7.6 million are going to be for the qualifiers. Then the also crazy thing is 1.1 million is going to go to MVPs for each tournament of each game, and each game that's going to be there, which we didn't go over yet. But the games, starting off are going to be Overwatch, as we already discussed, right? League of Legends, another one that we talk about over here. It's going to be Apex Legends, Fortnite. I
got the full list right here.
That whole thing, like there's so many of them that are going to be there, and a bunch of them that we don't even know about, like that a lot of people don't actually know about, right? Mobile Legends Bang Bang, which is basically just League of Legends, just like, I don't want to say like a ripoff, but like,
Well, yeah, it's the mobile. It's a mobile game clone, so like it's probably got a big population across the world, and that's probably what they're hitting, like the largest demographic across a bunch of different games. So yeah, Apex Legends, Counter-Strike 2, Dota 2, EA Sports FC Football Club 24. Interesting that's EA Sports, not FIFA. So that might
FIFA does its own thing. It's so big that FIFA does its own huge like World Cup with people and stuff like that. So I'm not sure.
True, but the games are what's it called? The games are played.
It doesn't like FIFA has something like there was some kind of drama or controversy going over with like the Middle East of some sort and FIFA
with the World Cup and there's a
hosted in like the middle of like summer in the desert basically. They wanted to have like the FIFA World Cup and shit.
It's still allegedly, but it's pretty much case in point that they bought the tournament, the location and the spot, and then they've really pushed a lot of interesting situations. And I say that politely because I can't do it justice. There's so many things and nuanced points in that where it is like, wow, no, they definitely were fucking around, and like it was scary. I'm intrigued by this because they're calling it EA Sports FC and not FIFA, and I believe the branding rights on the game, unless it's changed, has been FIFA with EA. So like that's an interesting thing where it might be, distancing themselves from it, kind of like trying to save face from that situation where the World Cup, where they're paying people off, they're threatening people, etc. Again, check with other people. I can't give it enough justice right here, right now. I don't have the proper information, but it's out there. But moving on to the rest of these games here, Fortnite, Garena Free Fire, never heard of that one, but I'm sure it's another mobile game. Honor of Kings, Mobile Legends Bang Bang, the one you mentioned, League of Legends, Overwatch 2, PUBG Battlegrounds, and PUBG Mobile. Interesting, there's a differentiation of those two games. Rainbow Six Siege, which we've seen a pretty vibrant esport for here in North America, and I believe Europe also loves that game. Rensport, which I think we were talking about, that was the werewolf game. That wild one we were talking about, the Apex. I think it was called Rensport. Either way, moving on. Rocket League, StarCraft.
That's a racing game.
Okay.
Rensport is a
rally car racing game, I think.
Is a racing sim, one of the titles looking to make its breakthrough in the mainstream esports with the Esports World Cup. So it's probably going to be close to like the iRace thing. So it's got to be good enough that people can use it as an actual training simulator for like racing. That's like if it's not up to that standard, then it probably won't make it.
Like a 1-to-1, yeah. Well, then we also have Rocket League, StarCraft 2, Street Fighter 6, Teamfight Tactics, and Tekken 8. Interesting, we only see 2 fighting games, Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8, but I guess that's kind of understandable. There's no Guilty Gear on there, at the very least.
Guilty Gear's not big enough. Really, it's a cool game and everything like that, but you know how it is for us.
Well,
we'd have to travel far enough for good, to play in tournaments and stuff.
Sorry, man, you cut off a little bit. I think your internet got a little spotty, but what about us? Go to Florida to get a good fighting game, you said?
No, like certain games just end up just being more local off of the East Coast and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
But
Super Smash Bros. Comes to mind with that. And with that, though, I wonder if it's a... Because Arc was doing its world tour, the developer for... Guilty Gear does its own world tour, so I wonder if they're just holding off on having a world tournament associated here. And then we also have a Nintendo, no Smash Bros on that list. It's kind of like a weird little snub, but I wonder how much of that is Nintendo's play, as well as just like you said, the grassroots communities, just more or less of how it works and what it does. But good to see you're back. I think your internet dropped us for a little bit. It wanted to ghost us, but I was just wrapping the
thing. Go ahead.
I was just wrapping this part up where it's like we don't see Smash Bros, where you see more of like a localized, local gaming community kind of play it tournament. But I was also going to say Nintendo might have something to say in that. They have their own thing they're trying to do coming up, so they might want to steer clear, do their own thing, not to get associated with ethical. And I believe Arc is also a Japanese developer. I know Guilty Gear generally is a Japanese game, so I believe their developer is from Japan as well. So it might be a sentimentality there and just a cultural thing. But
there's some definite interesting things for some of these games. Like the lack of fighters being there, I guess, because the only other fighter that is prominent besides these two that pulls good numbers would be Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
And Mortal Kombat's a little too gory for it. But interestingly enough, the Teamfight Tactics being the only auto battler there, and Riot literally having 2 out of 3 of their games that compete in esport. Yeah. So that's pretty interesting.
I wanted to jump in on that too real quick, because I wonder if it's in music, when I have a Britney Spears, I'm a label, I have a Britney Spears artist, I'll try to get you to play the Britney Spears. You're the radio station. I say, hey, do you want to play Britney Spears? And you go, yeah, I want Britney Spears to be on the radio here. I don't know why I'm using a fucking reference for 20 years ago. I should just say Doja Cat or Ice Spice. Yeah. But if I have an Ice Spice basically here, and you want... if you want to play Ice Spice on the radio, we have to sign a deal. But while I sell you Ice Spice, I'm going to go, okay, if you want to play Ice Spice, I need you to guarantee, okay, every 10 times you play Ice Spice, I need one of this artist, this other artist. I need one of this other artist, A, B, C.
I'd agree with it if Valorant was on the list.
True.
Valorant is not on the list, and I think as far as both of them make a good amount of money. Off cosmetics, Valorant and Teamfight Tactics, but I like Teamfight Tactics. I think it's fun as far as the auto battlers. It's also a little bit easier for me to get into because I do like a lot of League stuff. Mm-hmm. But it's fun. I played all the other ones too. I played the Dota one and stuff like that.
Dota tends to come out with these new game modes and they're really solid off the bat. Like even just the MOBA genre, like they developed it and then into Dota, and then Teamfight Tactics, that auto battler came out from a custom game mode. But I wonder, yeah, like how much is it like just here, we want this deal. We're not going to be, we're doing our own world tournament here for something like Valorant. So we're not going to include Valorant, but you know, here's the other games that we could put in here. And what is this thing called? The Esports World Cup. The organizers of the Esports World Cup, I think, is the Esports World Cup Foundation. Wow, very creative. But I think maybe they went to Riot and they're like, we want League of Legends. So like, even though League of Legends has its own world format, world tournaments, brackets, series, leagues, etc., it was probably one of those noteworthy games where they just wanted to pick and choose it and get out. And so then Riot made the deal of like, okay, take these two with them, and we're going to do our own with Valorant. That could also be a format issue because they did have Counter-Strike for that, like plant the bomb, disarm the bomb kind of style, but I don't see the other ones really. I don't see a Valorant there. I don't see So
yeah, it's definitely, there's definitely some things that are missing, but again, like I do think it's more of an organization thing. Like I think I've said this to you before, where I think that should be like the way that we like move into it with like esports, because I don't think like solely picking up like one esport itself, I don't think that they're like hugely profitable by themselves, like most of them. True. But I do think they're super like entertaining when bundled together, right? It's kind of like, Hulu or something like that now. Like a lot of things are just like bundled together, which makes it more accessible to people, because then you're able to get to see all these other games. So I think it's going to be really cool, and we might see it being something along the lines of like there might be more pro players after this in certain things. But I think the one thing that everybody needs to realize when it comes to all of these games, right, is so Dota 2, I don't know how many of those players are actually going to care and how good the competition's going to be, simply because the prize pool isn't big enough for Dota.
Well, let's actually switch over into the prize pool here of overall. And right, Dota has a very big prize pool because they have a lot of community support. They've got a lot of funding that Valve does in a very good way, a very honest way, by comparison to other tournament organizations and organizers, where the split is actually fair, even, it makes sense. And it's a lot of community-driven things. Like they make a cosmetic, and then 90% of that cosmetic sale goes to the competition prize pool, right? So let's bring up the prize pool here real quick. It's a very brief breakdown here, but more or less it's going to have a prize pool totaling over 60 million US. Ooh, I messed that up. 60 million US, which, I think they're looking for the largest. They're really looking for this tagline: the largest prize pool in esports history. So it's a lot of money collectively altogether, but it's going to be broken down into each game, into gold, silver, and bronze, etc., as well as the MVP awards. And I thought that was kind of cool. Like you mentioned, it's almost going to work a little bit like F1 works, where at the end of the circuit, end of the year, you have a prize for the best operator, the driver who wins the most points. You have the best, what is it, constructor, I believe it's called, basically the team that like funds and builds the car. So like you've got that, and then of course a lot of these leagues, they've got like MVP prizes and like rookie of the year and stuff. So like this version here, they're going to give an MVP award. Blech. How now, brown cow? I can't talk. I got to get the foot out of my mouth. But they have an MVP award as well as some qualifier prizes just by getting in. I guess stipends to travel, etc. But we're talking $20 million for the club championship. We're talking $30 million plus. I want to know what that plus means for game championships. $7 million going out to qualifiers, any team who qualifies, and $1.1 million going out to people who get voted as the most valuable player. This, I don't know how many matches are going to be, but this one seems like it gets small pretty fast. But maybe an extra $50K, $25K, $20K for being the MVP of the game ain't too shabby, right?
I mean, it's not. I mean, there's 19 games, $60,000 for like for the club prizes. You know what I mean?
True. Yeah.
So like the game. So if you think about it, like the club is, they're gonna have to distribute that out just in general. Oh, it's only says 20 million there, but in their advertisement, let me see. Look back on their.
Well, we can verify that information, but like when you get to these
No,
large
that's
numbers,
right. It's correct.
When you get to these large numbers, it's also hard to like fathom what 20 million actually means. And that's why they like to inflate this, why they're saying, oh, they're giving away $60 million, because they want that tagline to say, we gave away the most money in esports history possible. And that's cool and fun. And people really only hear the most money ever.
I mean,
that's kind of thing.
This is interesting. Just for context, like Dota, the prize pool for 2021 was about $40 million for Dota 2.
And that's one of the most funded.
Just throwing that out there. Like, I don't know how they're going to be. Like, I don't see any one of these numbers being $40 million. So, like, they're going to say it's like all combined, but like, really, they're just going to be handing out like $20 million to like a club for the championship. Like, that, we'll have to see how it goes. Are they going to like put up people on like their team and stuff like that? Right. But they already did like the advertisement. They already showed like which pros are going to be there. Like T1's going to be there with Faker and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
And in a lot of ways, I'm going to just monologue real quick, hard switch camera. But basically, it feels like they're putting on a show. They're aiming for entertainment. They're aiming for a show. They want to put this dog and pony kind of dance here. They want to offer the largest prize ever. They want to bring out the biggest names in video games of the last 10 years that are competing. So like it's very interesting here to see, but there's going to be some flags. Of course, obviously, where's the funding coming from? Of course, we can talk about that. But I think the bigger issue is going to be how they're going to organize it. No one's ever done something like this before. No one's ever done this possibly for a reason. They've won it. I think the closest thing might be the Nintendo Power Glove tournaments back in the 90s, which was right. The Game Wizard ones. You remember those?
No, I was referencing the movie The Wizard.
Oh, the movie Wizard, yeah. Where and like there's King of Fighters, which does it in a way, but I don't think anybody's ever really done it on a global scale for this many games with this kind of prize pool. And like tournament organization needs to be on point. And like they're getting some practice with Overwatch right now because the same organization, I think, funds Face It. It's the same sort of expertise area of being run in the Middle East. I think Saudi also runs Face It. And the Face It organization, tournament runners have been running it since, what's it called? Well, since pretty much 4 months now. And there's been a couple hiccups that have been notable. And some of that's been like fault of the players and coaches who are not reading the rules, who are just like maybe being neglectful and, to put it nicely, dumb. But, like gamers are going to game. Professionals are going to be professional and try to like win. And if you're in a competition, you're going to take every chance you get to get that edge. So maybe they're pushing the boundaries on it, of course. But that's one of those things the tournament organizers need to figure out and do, especially when you get to a scale this big. There's a lot of money at stake. There's a lot of people involved, and they need to get it right the first time. And of course, there's going to have to be improvements over time, and that's expected, but they can't be a break moment. It has to be a bend moment. I mean, that's my monologue. That's my thoughts here. And I think that's where the friction is going to come from this tournament, on top of the already out there conversation about who's running it, and where's the money coming from. But I'm a little excited to see this competition. I'm excited to see what this does in regions as well as local areas of esports. Do you have any final thoughts or anything that you're looking at with this this competition, Nick?
The ass whooping everyone is about to receive from South Korea in StarCraft 2. Like, the ass whooping is going to be like you're a 5-year-old again, and you're going to be so afraid that someone's yelling at you. Like, that's how, like, it's going to be real bad. Like, if those who don't know, StarCraft is different out there in South Korea. Like, everybody will say, like, oh, South Korea, or, blah, 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 like a lot of esports and stuff. Like, it's completely different, bro. Like, we might see the Flash make a comeback. Like, this might be sick. And like, I don't know if you know who the Flash is, but he's like he was like one of the most popular people in Korea, just in South Korea, right? I say Korea, but we all know what the fuck I mean, right? Like South Korea. The Flash is awesome. He's really good at the game. I don't think he'll be playing, but I do think that it will be a complete stomp Like we need to hope like Scarlet and somebody else might do some fun stuff. And I joke and say like Scarlet and somebody else, but like I think it's going to be a real pub stop. Like it's not going to be nice.
I hear you. I hear on that, and that's an interesting point to make because South Korea's had such a big presence in esports for so long. It's hard to imagine they'll have no representation there or minimal representation in the competition. In fact, they might have an abundance of representation there and an abundance of wins and prize money. So it might just be a lot of Saudi money going directly to South Koreans, basically. But I think that's the case right now. I know that's what's happening in the Saudi e-leagues currently, where they're just basically like funding South Koreans to come on over and play for them and in those competitions, etc. But I do think there might be an asterisk of if basically they need to get in. They need to get in to win. So if they don't play, if they're abstaining from it, or if they're tied to other projects or other things, they might not contractually be able to. So I think that's a good point to make and look at. Sorry, you look like you were about to say something.
No, I just had a thought. Like the thing that you said earlier about like when we were talking about like team fight tactics and like oh, maybe they like, hey, you can get League of Legends if you take this other one, right? Okay. Isn't that exactly what, like, there's only like two things. Either Blizzard literally said, hey, I'll give you, please, Saudi Prince, like, please pick StarCraft 2, right? Or South Korean government was like, yeah, the only way we're doing this is if you bring StarCraft 2 to the world stage. Like, those are the only two possibilities. That's what popped in my head. That's a funny thought, but I do feel like there's a third possibility where StarCraft is still such a huge esport and it's such a classic esport that I wouldn't doubt that they pick that one and go, we want that. We're going to have that. And especially if we're going to do something like this needs to be here because we're going to pull all of the esport gamer nerds together into one infinity gauntlet of games here. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a fun event, you know?
Yeah. So.